leaving the Pries branch, which I'll show you at a later date, and rejoining the Llangollen. Hello, and welcome to episode 32. In this episode, we'll be exploring the history of Whixall Moss and the origins of the Llangollen Canal. We'll be getting up close and personal with Towpath wildflowers. I get a new helmsman. We take in the tranquility of Blakemere and encounter the first of the Llangollen tunnels. This cube of a house next to the Junction is rather interesting. It's actually a 3-storey building, one storey being below the level of the canal. This 1.5 miles straight cuts right across the bottom of the mosses. This huge area of bog had several uses during the Second World War. It had been used as a rifle range since the Boer War, but during the 1940s it was used as a bombing range for the RAF and also a target range for fighter pilots to practice machine gun fire. However, its most important application was codenamed Strategic Starfish Site. Some 65 beacons could be electronically set alight at night as a decoy for enemy bombers who were targeting nearby Liverpool, Manchester and the key railway town of Crewe. The area has been used for cutting peat for many years, and another part of the mosses was also used as a decoy site. Drums of paraffin were lit at night along the peat cuttings to simulate nearby RAF airfields. There are several access points for walking on the mosses, one of which is coming up just on the right hand side. Peat has been dug commercially here since 1851. By the late 60s, all the peat extracted was sold through the well-known retailer F.W. Woolworths for horticultural use. Over the years, peat cutters have uncovered 3 very well preserved bodies. One Bronze Age man and a woman and a man from the Iron Age or Romano period. The man here was wearing a leather apron and apparently found with a stool. The bodies were reburied at Whixall Cemetery, so have now sadly decomposed.
One of the positive things about lockdown for me was the fact that the towpaths weren't mown and strimmed within an inch of their lives by Fountains, who are the CRT contractors for maintaining the towpaths. And what this showed us was the huge variety of wonderful, wonderful wildflowers there are along our towpaths. Now, this towpath has actually been recently mown, which to my point of view is a bit of a shame. However, Fountains were on this occasion rather sympathetic towards some of the wildflowers, so I'm going to go along here and show you some of the wildflowers that they actually left on the towpath.
Now don't get me wrong, I do completely understand the need to keep the towpaths safe for all users. However, I do think that doing a full width cut or even a 3/4 width cut isn't always necessary. Just leave enough room in the middle of the towpath for people to use it safely. Let's face it, our bees and our insects need as much help as they can get to flourish. The increased miles of undisturbed towpath would have a massive impact on our wildlife, which has been in decline for decades. By pollination, bees and insects encourage the growth of flowers, trees, hedgerows and food crops. This supports all forms of wildlife by providing food and shelter to all living things, from insects to birds to mammals. And apart from this, it just looks so much better in the spring and summer. If this is something you feel strongly about, I have posted a link to a petition in the description box below. And well done, the CRT, for producing these notices that you can download. I hope they go one step further and cut back on cutting back our towpaths. Time to leave Lineal Coppice behind and head off towards Ellesmere. There are 9 meres in North Shropshire, and it is rather grandly known as the Shropshire Lake District, which might be over-egging it a bit. The first we come to is Blakmere, which, although next to the canal, is barely visible through the trees. I'm hoping we'll get a better view of Blakemere as we go past.
Oh, you can take the helm. Anyway.
I'll take the helm. Yeah.
Yes, hello. I've been joined on board today. I've got a new helmsman you may have seen. This is my eldest son. This is Henry. He's come to join us for a few days, and we're going to go through Frankton Locks and down onto the Montgomery Canal soon. So, well, what do you think about that, Bonnie?
I think it's great. It's lovely to be out of London at last and with my old man. So,
yeah. Okay. So yes, we might even have a few beers. Who knows?
Yeah. Sounds good.
Cool. Okay. Well, that's all for now. At least the battery.
Yeah. Cool.
Oh, a bit wobbly and short on focus. That's better.
Oh yeah, some photographer you are, eh?
Cheeky bugger. We do get a good view of Blakemere, And this really is a truly stunning stretch of canal. We've disturbed a heron, who flies a bit further forward in the hope that we'll go away. There he is, hiding on the left, barely visible. And off he goes again. They are strange, prehistoric looking creatures. Now if this is good enough for a heron, it's a good enough place for us to moor the night. What a very special place Blakemere is. The towpath runs between the canal and this beautiful expanse of water surrounded by woodland. They might be out fishing, but I pulled a 27-inch pike out of the canal. I suspect it may have been caught by a propeller in the nearby Ellesmere tunnel. You get an idea just how close the canal is to Blakemere as Horace cruises by. The Ellesmere tunnel is almost 80 metres long, that's about 261 feet, and we'll be going through very soon. Off we go again, and I was rather sad to leave this beautiful location behind. Five minutes later, we round the corner, and there it is. No need to sound the horn, you can see if there are any boats approaching. I have turned on my tunnel light and a torch though. Telford built the tunnels on this canal with a towpath, as he felt that legging the boats through was rather undignified. Cathy is following on behind. It takes almost 2 minutes to get through the tunnel. The Llangollen Canal was originally conceived as the Ellesmere Canal, and the intention was to connect the River Severn from Shrewsbury to the River Mersey at Netherpool, which is now called Ellesmere Port. It was to utilise the navigable sections of the River Dee south of Chester, connecting with the Ellesmere Canal at Trevor. It never did reach Shrewsbury. After the completion of the Ellesmere Port to Chester section, In 1796, the original route was shelved and a new route connecting with the Chester Canal at Hurlston Junction was deemed a better proposition. The canal was renamed the Llangollen Canal in 1957. Some of you might recognise the boat ahead. Fellow boat tubers, well-decked diaries. Now with Henry at the helm and me navigating, I mistake this for the Ellesmere branch. It is, in fact, Blackwater Meadow Marina. Nice one, Dad.
What are you after, chap? Turning for Ellesmere. Cheers.
Through Bridge 58, and the turning for the Ellesmere branch is ahead on the right. The branch is a quarter of a mile long and takes you into town. There are visitor moorings all along the towpath. There's a large supermarket at the end and we need to stock up on beer and cheese. We've got the essentials, so it's back on to the Llangollen. This fine building was once the headquarters for the Ellesmere Canal. It is now, I believe, a college, with the CRT yard, services and dry dock next to it. Whilst Cathy booked her boat into the dry dock for blacking, I breast up and take on water. You can see Henry and I doing the full Monty at a later date. But why not join me next time when I'll be travelling from Ellesmere to Chirk?